Most people spend their lives running from pain. They avoid it, numb it, distract themselves from it, and hope that one day it will magically disappear. But what if everything you've been taught about pain is wrong? What if pain is not the enemy at all, but the greatest ally you've been refusing to listen to? Pain is not here to destroy you. Pain is here to direct you. It is a signal, a message, a wake-up call telling you that something must change, and the longer you ignore it, the louder it becomes. Pain is not a punishment sent to ruin your life. It is a signal designed to protect you and guide you. Just like physical pain warns you that something is wrong in your body, emotional and mental pain exists to tell you that something in your life is out of alignment. When you touch a hot stove, pain forces you to pull your hand back instantly. You don't and argue with it. You don't negotiate with it. You respond. Yet when pain shows up in your relationships, your career, your confidence, or your sense of purpose, most people do the opposite. They suppress it, rationalize it, or pretend it's not there. Pain is information, and when you ignore information long enough, the cost becomes massive. Every feeling of frustration, anxiety, resentment, or emptiness carries a message, and that message is asking for awareness and change. Pain says this situation no longer fits who you are becoming. Pain says you are meant for more than this routine, this compromise, this excuse. Pain says the standard you are living by is too low for the potential you carry. It is not here to harm you, it is here to wake you up. The moment you label pain as bad, you begin fighting the very force that could transform you. But when you see pain as a signal, everything shifts because signals demand interpretation, not avoidance. The people who suffer the most are not the ones experiencing pain. They are the ones resisting it. Resistance turns pain into suffering, while acceptance turns pain into power. When you stop asking why this is happening to you and start asking what this is trying to show you, pain becomes a guide rather than a threat. It points you toward boundaries that must be set, decisions that must be made, and truths that must be faced. Pain highlights the gap between where you are and where you know you should be. And that gap is not meant to shame you, it is meant to motivate you. Look at every major shift in your life and you will find pain standing right at the doorway. Pain is what ends denial. Pain is what breaks patterns. Pain is what finally forces clarity. Comfort keeps you stuck in familiar patterns, but pain demands honesty. It strips away illusions and exposes what truly matters. When pain shows up repeatedly, it's not because life is cruel. It's because you haven't listened the first time. Signals repeat until they are acknowledged. The moment you begin to respect pain instead of fearing it, you reclaim your power. Pain becomes feedback, not failure. It becomes a compass pointing you toward growth, courage, and change. Pain is not the end of the road. It is the sign that you are standing at a turning point. And what you do with that signal determines whether you stay where you are or step into something greater. The comfort zone feels safe, familiar, and predictable, but that sense of safety is often an illusion that slowly keeps you trapped. Comfort is not peace, it is numbness. It is the quiet agreement you make with life to stay small in exchange for avoiding discomfort. Inside the comfort zone, there is no urgency, no pressure, and no demand to grow, which is exactly why so many people stay there for years while their dreams slowly fade into frustration. Comfort whispers that tomorrow will be a better time, that conditions will improve, that you'll act when you feel ready, but comfort never prepares you, it only delays you. When you live in comfort, you stop challenging your limits. You accept situations that drain you because they are familiar. You tolerate relationships that no longer inspire you because they are predictable. You stay in routines that no longer excite you because they don't scare you. The comfort zone is seductive because it feels like control, but in reality, it is the loss of control disguised as stability. Nothing changes there, and when nothing changes, nothing grows. Growth requires tension. It requires uncertainty. It requires stepping into situations where you are not guaranteed success. The comfort zone removes all of that, and in doing so, it removes the possibility of transformation. You don't discover your strength by staying where you already feel capable. You discover it by stepping into moments that demand more from you than you think you have. Comfort never calls forth courage. It only reinforces fear by rewarding avoidance. Over time, comfort becomes painful in its own way. The pain of regret, the pain of unrealized potential, the pain of knowing you were meant for more but chose what was easy instead. This pain is quieter than fear, but it is far more dangerous because it settles into your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't change, someone who plays it safe, someone who watches others live boldly while you remain on the sidelines. The longer you stay comfortable, the harder it becomes to leave because comfort weakens your tolerance for discomfort. The truth is, your comfort zone is not protecting you. It is preparing you for stagnation. It is training you to accept less than you are capable of creating. The world doesn't reward comfort, it rewards value, courage, and growth. Every meaningful achievement exists outside the boundaries of what feels safe. When you finally step beyond comfort, fear shows up, doubt shows up, uncertainty shows up, but so does aliveness, clarity, and momentum. The moment you choose growth over comfort, life expands. You begin to feel engaged again. You begin to trust yourself again. You realize that discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something new is being built. The comfort zone is not where you are meant to live. It is where you are meant to visit. And leaving it is not a risk. It is a requirement. Avoiding pain may feel like self-protection, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful ways people stay stuck. When you run from discomfort, you don't eliminate pain, you postpone it, and postponed pain doesn't disappear, it compounds. Every time you ignore what hurts, you reinforce the habit of inaction, and over time that habit becomes your identity. You start believing that staying the same is safer than risking change, even when staying the same is slowly draining your energy, confidence, and sense of purpose. Pain demands a response, and when that response is avoidance, life shrinks. Opportunities pass by because they feel uncomfortable. Conversations are left unspoken because they feel awkward. Decisions are delayed because they feel uncertain. Each act of avoidance sends a message to your nervous system that discomfort is dangerous, and that message grows stronger with repetition. Eventually, even small challenges feel overwhelming, not because they are too big, but because you have trained yourself to retreat instead of rise. What keeps people stuck is not the pain itself, but the story they attach to it. They tell themselves pain means failure, pain means weakness, pain means something is wrong with them. These stories turn temporary discomfort into permanent limitation. When pain is framed as a threat, your mind focuses on escape, not growth. You do whatever you can to stay comfortable, even if comfort costs you your dreams. Avoidance creates a false sense of relief, but that relief is short-lived. The momentary comfort of not acting is followed by a deeper frustration, a quiet disappointment that lingers beneath the surface. You know there is something you should address, something you should change, but instead of facing it, you carry it with you everywhere you go. This internal weight becomes emotional exhaustion, and exhaustion makes change feel even harder. The longer you avoid pain, the more power you give it. Pain grows in the shadows. It thrives when it is ignored. What could have been resolved with one brave decision turns into years of dissatisfaction. What could have been healed with one honest conversation turns into resentment. Avoidance doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you small. When you finally face what you've been avoiding, something surprising happens. The pain loses its grip. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. Clarity replaces confusion. Energy returns because you are no longer fighting yourself. Action breaks the cycle that avoidance created. The moment you choose to move toward pain instead of away from it, you reclaim momentum. Stuck is not a place, it is a pattern, and that pattern is built through avoidance. The way out is not waiting for pain to disappear, but allowing it to guide you. Growth begins the moment you stop running, stand still, and listen to what discomfort has been trying to tell you all along. Pain is the spark that ignites real change, not gentle advice or good intentions. People rarely transform their lives because they read a book or heard an inspiring idea. They change when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. N creates urgency, and urgency is the force that moves people from knowing to doing. Without urgency, awareness remains intellectual. With urgency, it becomes action. Think about how many times you've said you would change someday. Someday you'll take care of your health. Someday you'll leave the situation that drains you. Someday you'll go after what you really want. Someday is comfortable because it has no deadline. Pain removes the illusion of time. It makes the cost of delay visible. It says you can no longer afford to wait. Pain sharpens focus. When everything is comfortable, the mind wanders, priorities blur. But when pain enters, clarity follows. You suddenly know what matters and what doesn't. Excuses lose their power. Distractions fall away. Pain forces you to confront reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. That confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is also liberating because it gives you a clear target for change. Lasting change doesn't come from motivation, it comes from leverage. Pain provides leverage by attaching consequences to inaction. It connects your current behavior to future outcomes you don't want. When you feel that connection deeply, action becomes non-negotiable. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop justifying old habits. You move because not moving hurts more. This is why the most powerful turning points in life often follow moments of intense discomfort. A breaking point forces a decision. It ends indecision. Pain draws a line in the sand and asks you to choose who you are going to be from this moment forward. Without that line, people drift. With it, they commit. When pain becomes the trigger, change gains momentum. Small actions turn into habits. Habits turn into identity. What once required effort becomes automatic. The pain that once felt overwhelming becomes a memory that reminds you why you moved in the first place. Pain initiates the process, but growth sustains it. The mistake people make is trying to remove pain before they change. In reality, change removes pain. The discomfort you feel now is the price of transformation, and that price is temporary. The cost of avoiding it is permanent. When you allow pain to push you into action, you step into a future where your choices are driven by intention instead of reaction, and that is where real freedom begins. Comfort promises ease, but meaning demands courage. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they choose comfort over purpose. Comfort asks nothing from you. Meaning asks everything. Meaning requires you to stand for something, to move toward what matters, even when it feels uncertain and uncomfortable. When you choose comfort, you feel safe for a moment. When you choose meaning, you feel alive. Progress is not comfortable. Progress stretches you beyond who you've been. It asks you to release familiar patterns and step into responsibility for your future. Comfort keeps you focused on avoiding discomfort, while meaning keeps you focused on becoming more. When your life is driven by comfort, your decisions are small. When your life is driven by meaning, your decisions become powerful because they align with something bigger than fear. Every meaningful path includes discomfort. There is no purpose without pressure, no growth without challenge. The difference is that discomfort in service of meaning feels different than discomfort born from avoidance. One strengthens you, the other drains you. When you know why you are enduring something, the pain becomes bearable, even empowering. Meaning gives pain direction. Progress is built one courageous decision at a time. Each time you choose what matters over what feels easy, you build self-trust. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence becomes momentum. For time, you stop asking if you are capable and start acting as if you are. Comfort keeps you doubting yourself. Progress proves who you are. Meaning also changes how you see failure. Failure becomes feedback. Setbacks become lessons. Pain becomes part of the process instead of a reason to quit. When you are anchored to meaning, you don't collapse under pressure. You adapt, you evolve. You keep moving forward because stopping would mean betraying what matters most to you. A life built on comfort shrinks quietly. A life built on meaning expands boldly. Comfort asks you to protect what you have. Meaning asks you to grow into what you can become. One leads to regret. The other leads to fulfillment. When you choose meaning over comfort, progress becomes inevitable. You stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. You stop needing permission. You act because your values demand it. Pain no longer controls you because you understand its purpose. It is no longer an obstacle. It is part of the path. And the path of meaning always leads forward.